Good morning, everyone. We are coming to you live via Facebook streaming, via YouTube streaming, and also by Skype online. Each one of you is welcome to this live streaming. Introduction to Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. Introduction to Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, as I mentioned earlier, when Shiva emerged out of long meditation. Shiva means that which is neither born nor dies. Nobody knows about his parentage, how he was born. All of a sudden, he emerges. This is the nature of consciousness that always is. The space that your room occupies has always been there. It has changed its form and shape. Many times the outer boundaries were broken down and will be broken down in future as well. It is important, before we begin, certain introductory observations are necessary to know how does Tantra begin with, and what is Tantra. Otherwise, you have an image of it, a preconceived idea, and that will not help you in any way to understand the intricacies of Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. This live recording is slightly different because simultaneously it is being recorded and live streamed on 3 different channels. Through iPhone, it is connected to Facebook, so it is unlike other live streamings. Through iPad, it is connected to YouTube live streaming, and it is recorded on YouTube through the iPad device. Through iPhone device, it is being recorded on Facebook, and through MacBook, it is being live streamed to those who are connected via Skype in whichever part of the world you are. So there will not be a normal way of the things, that movement, because these equipments are placed in a particular location to get a view. You will not have the movements like this, all these kind, because I have no movements when I am moving, except maybe that of little bit of eyes, little bit of head, not more than that. After intense meditation, Shiva emerged and he explained to 7 sages about the intricacies of life and living, and how the work is to continue. These 7 sages are connected to the psycho centers within you, which I will speak on another time. Vigyan, as it is evident from the name, vigyan means science. Vigyan means science. Bhairav means that which is beyond. Beyond what? Beyond time, beyond body, beyond mind. And tantra means technique. When you understand this clearly, it has nothing to do with vigyan, bhairav. Tantra has nothing to do with sex. It is concerned with transforming your energy through breath movement. The passage of the breath in the body is from nostril to solar plexus. Solar plexus is the mysterious center in you. It was once connected to mother's womb through umbilical cord. Now, through your consciousness, you have to connect yourself to the cosmic womb. So you are constantly nourished and nurtured by cosmic energy. You would have heard many stories that one can remain without food for a number of days. Food is not that nourishes the consciousness. It is the life force. It is Alan Vaite. It is Pranavayu that nourishes and nurtures the consciousness of an individual. I have heard a conversation between mother from Shri Aurobindo Ashram in Pondicherry and one of the seeker. Seeing the agility and untiring spirit of the mother, one of the seeker asked, "Mother, where do you get all this energy from?" She responded the question with a question. "Do you think the energy that I have, it comes from the frugal meals that I eat?" Frugal meals. You have to watch your eating habits. Is it empty calories or nutritionally dense? So at that level, your food should not be detrimental to the body, because each herb, each food ingredient has certain qualities that it adds to the physical body and to your consciousness, to your mind. Mind is the gateway that connects consciousness. It bridges the cosmos, the very source of consciousness, and through which it descends and becomes the operating force within you. Just as, what is the significance of engine oil or transmission oil or brake fluid in the car? It makes those systems run smoothly without much wear and tear, without overheating. So a good quality, the manufacturers of a particular car model will suggest you the type of the oil to use and the quantity of the oil to use, and how often the oil has to be changed. The directions are given, but God has not given that instructions to man. Thinking that man is a conscious being, he should be able to use his discretion what kind of oil and what quantity he should use, what maintains the efficient functioning of the brain cells, because each cell is constantly working tirelessly within your system. They need a good quality of lubricant. Certain lubricants are produced within the body, that is cerebrospinal fluid, so on and so forth. This moment is not the time to go into those aspects. There are certain introductory facts. Vigyan, bhairav, tantra is no way philosophical. It is purely scientific. There is no doctrine in it. It is concerned with methods, with technique, not with principles at all. Tantra actually means technique, the method, the way, the path. So it is not philosophical. You remember this. It is not concerned with intellectual problems that you face and inquiries related to this. It is concerned with not why of things, why this universe. The moment you ask this question, why, you enter into the realm of philosophy. And when you ask how this universe, how life, that you enter into a system of methodology. And that is the way of science. Tantra is science, not philosophy. To understand philosophy is easy because only your intellect is required to understand philosophy. If you can understand language, it is easy for you to understand the concept. You can understand philosophy easily. You need not change. There is no need for transformation as you are. You can understand philosophy and you will remain unchanged. But when it comes to Tantra, it is different. You will need a change. Rather, it is better to call this mutation rather than a change. Unless you are different, Tantra cannot be understood, because Tantra is not an intellectual proposition. It is in fact an experience. When you engage in a particular type of breathing, you know what it is. You can know it theoretically, but you have no practical experience. Unless you are receptive, ready, vulnerable to experience, it is not going to help you in any way. Philosophy is concerned with human mind. Your head is more than enough. Head does not mean you are totally into it. Tantra needs your totality. It is a much deeper challenge. That's why not everyone goes into it. You will have to be in it totally, the body, the mind, the spirit. It is not understood in fragments. It requires an altogether different approach, different attitude, and different state of mind to receive it. In this, it is a dialogue between Devi, the consort of Shiva. You will recall that you call your spouse is one, but you call her by different names when she is performing different roles. It is in the form of Devi. She is connected to Shiva, her consort, in explaining the deeper realms, deeper aspects of vigyan, bhairav, tantra. Devi asks certain questions. Shiva could have explained this philosophically, but no. Instead, this is a different and difficult explanation. If you give these kind of answers, then the person will get annoyed. You have a new beverage tasting. You have your spouse with you. She doesn't want to take the initiative. You taste it. She wants to know how it tastes. You will say, tastes all right. No, Shiva is not saying there. Shiva offers her the cup. Taste it and know. Taste and know means do what is needed to be done to understand it. This is the way of Tantra. You want to know only philosophically, is it tasting good or not tasting good? That is not going to help. And whatever I will tell you about this beverage cannot help you to, it will not go deeper. I offer you the cup, take it, taste it, and you will know it. And then you can order the same beverage for you. Sometimes it happens when two people go, they order these separate drinks and they share with one another to know the taste of the beverage that you have ordered. So this is the way Devi asks the questions, Shiva's consort, and Shiva gives the technique. Do it and you will know. But then there is another important thing. If in the restaurant where the two are sitting, And if they are antagonistic to one another, when you offer your concert, your drink to taste, there will be no response. There has to be lovingness. The concert, your spouse says, "Darling, how does this drink taste?" And you respond to her saying, "You can taste it, and only then you will know. Have a sip of it." But this cannot be in antagonistic atmosphere. There has to be a loving understanding and loving environment. If the spouse is angry with you, she will never taste it. There has to be a state of lovingness, a deep understanding towards one another. So Devi is asking apparently the questions, like asking, "How does this drink taste?" You can take this question on a philosophical journey. It tastes like this, and have you tasted this, and you blend this with this, that is how the taste is. But Tantra starts in a particular way. Devi is sitting on the lap of Shiva in such a way that she bends her head and looks towards Shiva. She is sitting in that posture very comfortably. This symbolizes the lovingness. Only if something has to be communicated to someone, it has to be in a very loving atmosphere. In an antagonistic atmosphere, nothing can be communed. It will not reach. So this particular gesture is used. The way Shiva is sitting, Devi is sitting on her lap. Just imagine you are sitting on the lap of your spouse, looking attentively towards him, looking into his eyes. So half of the communion happens through the movement of the eyes. You would have recall. You would know this is your experience. And in Indian dance movement, in Kathak specifically, it is shown the bride is sitting with a drape on her face. There is a congregation of the people. She wants to look at her husband. She has a drape. And Pandit Birju Maharaj shows like this. If you have a drape, you will make this finger like a scissor-like action. And in a fraction of a second, in that dance movement, she just flips over like this. The drape or the veil that is on her face gets open, and she has a look at her spouse amidst that crowd. You would have recalled that. And if you want to communicate something to your spouse, you can simply do it through the movement of the eyes. You want to call her to the room without anyone knowing it. But you think that you are wise enough and nobody knows. That's a different matter. So communion happens through the movement of the eyes. Easy. As I said, the question that Devi is asking can be answered in two ways. But everybody is interested in the useless way of responding answers in a philosophical way. The moment you ask a question, how did you make this tasty vegetable? You can philosophically say this. That will not help. But the moment you say that tomorrow morning come and I'll teach you, but that requires standing in the kitchen in the heat and working and cutting the vegetables and then making it. Everybody is interested in, no, just tell me, I will write the recipe and that's it. But by writing the recipe you cannot make the dish, because there are some nuances about it. The recipe calls for saute onion for 1 minute. This is philosophy. But when you are sauteing the onions for 1 minute until they become translucent, if the onions are cut in different sizes, it has to be evenly cut and it has to be separated from one another. Then you will be able to, and then it depends upon the flame of the stove, the heaviness of the pot and where you are frying. Once I had to go to a place, they have invited me to show them how to make certain Indian dishes. So I asked, do you have the facilities in the kitchen, the stove? And so, yes, sir, yes, we have a stove. And so when I actually lit the stove, the burner was not clean and it was lighting like a candle. There 1 minute is not enough. So these are the nuances. In the same way, Shiva and Devi, if they do not have that loving connection with one another, these subtle nuances cannot be understood, which cannot be explained into the words. So he does not answer anything philosophically. As any question can be answered either philosophically or totally, intellectually or existentially. For example, someone asks, what is love? You can quote William Shakespeare, you may quote Kipling, you may quote any Indian writers, you can explain it intellectually, you can discuss, you can propose theories, you can argue for a particular hypothesis, you can create a system, a doctrine, but you may know nothing about what love is. When I say love is unseen but realized truth, it is still something within, unseen but realized truth. Love is truth, and it is understood only when you realize it. There is a power within. that knows beyond our knowings. No one has seen it, but we can see its effects. When lovingness grips you, the first effect happens. The body-mind realm becomes totally relaxed. You can answer this, you can create a situation. But this is not intellectual. You can discuss it, you can propose theories, you can argue, and for a particular hypothesis, you can create a system, a doctrine, but you may know nothing about love. To create a doctrine, no experience is needed. Now, when I say love, what is love? Love is unseen. I pause. Unseen, but realized truth. You can know it only in the company of one who is overflowing love, who is overflowing lovingness, who is harmonious within, who is oneness, who is one with the existence. Love is oneness with all that is sentient and insentient. Something begins to happen within you as if something is entering mysteriously within you. The gesture, the words arrangement, that becomes a musical note, a mantra. In Sanskrit, whether we use in Rigveda, there are 7 different meters. Gayatri is a meter of 24 letters arranged in composition of 8 each. Anushtav. So when the words are spoken in a particular meter, that creates an energy field. If the energy is and remember, words are energy, they create a vibration and it is the vibration that is measured in hertz. It reaches you. If your words, your language, your volume can create 528 hertz of energy, it directly reaches to your heart. So when the musicians create music to relax, 528 hertz vibration, the movement of energy is measured in terms of vibrations. It works at the heart center. It transforms. Then there is other levels of the frequency. So it begins to make a difference. And when a master is speaking, he speaks a word. And then he creates a gap, groups. You fall in that, you are waiting for the next word. And if you understand, try to analyze the state of your mind. There is no question. There is utter silence. Through the words, he creates a silence within you. And that is the way the transformation happens. A word is there. And if you are familiar with the word and with the music, the musician claps one khali. Khali means empty. And each time there is a gap between the two notes. And that is the real music. The purpose of the music is to create silence within you. The purpose of the master is he uses the words to create silence in you. It is in the silent gestures love pronounces aesthetic beauty. It is in silent gestures that you understand without letting anybody tell you what love is. To create doctrine, no experience is needed. On the contrary, less you know, better it is. Because then you can, if you know much, then you will not be able to understand. Only a blind man can easily define what light is. When you do not know, you are bold. Ignorance is always bold. Knowledge hesitates. And the more you know, the more you feel that the ground underneath is dissolving. The more you know, the more you feel you are ignorant. And those who are really wise, they become ignorant. They become simple like children. That is why childlike innocence is the way. The less you know, better it is. To be philosophical, to be dogmatic, to be doctrinaire, this is easy way. To tackle any problem intellectually is very easy. Nothing goes from you. But to tackle a problem existentially, or you can say practically, not just to think about it, first to live through it, go through it, to allow yourself to be transformed through it is difficult. But this is the way of Tantra. That is how you know love. Loved one will have to be in love. That is dangerous because after the experience you will not remain the same. The experience will transform you. The moment you enter love, you enter a different person. And when you come out, you will not be able to recognize your old face. The way you behaved earlier is totally different. There is a discontinuity with all that you were. Discontinuity will have happened. Now there is a gap between what you were and what you are now. The old man is no more there. The old approach, the old attitude is no more there. That is what is known as rebirth, or according to the Hindu system, Dvij, the second born. One birth is given to you by your mother. It is a physical birth. The other birth is when there is transformation in your consciousness, your way. Normally the river flows from a higher altitude to the lower. That's how the energy moves. But when you put the same ice or water, ice when it is allowed to melt on its own, the water moves from higher to the lower and it creates problems. But when the same ice is put in a pot and put on the fire, it begins to disappear in the unknown oblivion. That disappearance into the unknown, and then it showers through the rain clouds. It is second birth, twice born. Tantra is not philosophical, instead it is existential. So of course Devi asks questions which appear to be philosophical, but Shiva is not going to answer these questions the way Devi asks. So it is better to understand from the very beginning. Otherwise you will be puzzled how Shiva is not going to answer a single question. Instead, to each question he gives a technique and he explains the technique. And in vigyan, bhairav, tantra, Shiva does not even explain the technique, because it depends upon who the student is. If the student is of a very advanced stage, like for instance, if you are giving the tips to someone about cooking, and the person is an expert cook itself, but doesn't know a particular dish, and you have to just give that person simple hints, and the person will understand it. So Shiva is giving a technique as a simple hint through Devi. Devi herself is versatile. She understands that. But I have to give an explanation of each technique. How does it work? So that it descends deep into your consciousness and there is transformation. Shiva is not going to answer the questions the way Devi asks, and still he answers. This is a mystery. He does not answer the way the answer is expected, yet still he answers in his own way. And really, only Shiva has answered that question. If someone is of that capability, that he does not answer your questions the way you ask, instead he responds to that in his own way. How does it taste? Shiva is not saying that tastes good. Shiva is offering the cup. And if you are sitting with me in a restaurant, I have ordered something about which you were doubtful, that dish you did not want to order. You ask me, how does it taste? What should I do? Offer you the dish, taste it. Unless you taste yourself, you will not know what it tastes like. The only two options are there: either you may like it or you may not like it. So Devi understands the way. And he answers. And the way you have handled the situation in the restaurant is the way of tantra. He is not going to answer on a philosophic to follow the path of philosophy. Instead, he will give a technique, and this is the technique. You offer the person the dish, or take out a spoon and offer it to her. And the person says, no, I don't want to taste it. You just tell me, how does it taste? My telling you the taste will not give you the taste of it. My telling you how does it taste will not give you the taste of it really. So try it. And if Devi goes through those techniques, she will know. So the answer is somewhat roundabout. Everyone around me says he never answers the questions directly. Anything you ask him, he has to speak in a roundabout way. Because I want you to grow into your own way of understanding and learning. He's not going to answer, who am I? Someone asked Jiddu Krishnamurti, who are you? Jiddu says, is it important to know who am I or who you are? Raman used to say, someone asked, he will say, all you have to do, who am I? There was a Western philosopher, I do not recall his name, was Schopenhauer or someone else. He heard in the scriptures, Hindu Vedas and scriptures, it is said, who am I? He started practicing it. But soon he got so frightened because he is entering into the dark layers of his being, into the various layers of his being. You are very happy who you are. I am X, Mr. So and so. I am a medical doctor. These are the roles that you are performing. I am a male. I am an Indian. I am an IT person. This is what your identity is about you. You know nothing. And I had many times told, if you understood this, Shankar in 3rd century BC, 3rd century, belonged to the southernmost tip of India, Kerala. From there, how you reach the Himalayan mountain on a winter night is mysterious. An 8-year-old child, barefooted, like a monk, wandering in Himalayan mountains in search of his master, There he met a mysterious master, Govind Padacharya. He asks him, "Who are you?" Someone can ask, I can ask you, "Who are you?" If you know, "Who am I?" you will hesitate. But if you do not know who I am or who you are, you have no experience of yourself. Beyond that superficial, you're close. You're close or not you. If you have to get yourself medically checked, you have to remove the clothes. Because the medical diagnosis, your ECG cannot be done on your clothes. This is, your ECG is done for heart, and the clothes are the outer covering. So there is a system. Electrodes are used on your bare body to connect to the innerness, to the inner of the body, to reach to the energy that heart is, to know its movement. So there, when Govind Padacharya asks Shankar, "Who are you?" and he says, "Mano buddhi ahankar chittani naham." I am neither the mind nor the body nor the storehouse of the memory. Mano, man; buddhi, intellect; chit, memory; ahankar, ego sense. Mano buddhi ahankar chittani naham. Chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham. My form is eternal, unborn, and manifest. At that age, he has experienced and known this. He is ready to enter the inner realm. Shiva is not going to answer, "Who am I?" Instead, he gives a technique and he says, "Do it and you will know." This is how Tantra moves. This is the introduction, which is still the other aspects of introduction will continue. This communion will continue is tomorrow's session. We have started. We are on the threshold of going into the inner realm of Tantra, inner realm of vigyan, bhairav, tantra. First of all, you have to reach the threshold. We are reaching the threshold, getting ready to enter the precincts that vigyan, bhairav, tantra is. We are traveling from far. We have reached the doorstep. We have to cross the threshold. We are crossing the threshold to reach the inner realm. And then you will be amazed to see the vast innerness of this communion between Shiva and Devi, the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, the innerness, the grandeur, the deco, the beauty of the inner precincts. When you have to go to a particular place, a museum or something, you are traveling from far, from a hot weather. You come out of your vehicle. You are slowly and slowly approaching towards the entrance. pass through a channel, and then you reach the threshold. The environment begins to change from outside, and when you reach the place, you are amazed. Oh, wow! You have not yet reached inside. You are approaching the threshold, taking the one step to go in. Oh, wow! You are dazed. This is the moment. You are entering in the place where how Shiva has taken Devi into that state of wowness. Oh, I never know this. Dazed, there prevails a silence. This silence prepares Devi to receive what Shiva is going to transfer it to her. Let us remember this vowness, this gesture, as we enter into the inner realm of vigyan, bhairav, tantra. So until we meet again tomorrow, take care. Do have a pleasant day. Tomorrow is the full moon day, and in the month of Sawan, according to the Hindu calendar, which falls in July, it is known as Guru Poornima. Guru means master. Poornima, according to Hindus, it is an important, whether one is ritualistic or otherwise, it is an important day. Only then, until tomorrow, take care and do have a pleasant day.